Hey, this is Passy from Passy's World of ICT, the guy with the white hat. And today we're making the main switchboard menu for the Dog Club database. So like the jumping Jack Russell dog here, we'll be able to jump to all sections of the database which we've already built. So this is going to be really good. So remember, I'm a bit of a slow talker. So you want to go to that YouTube player bar and go to the tools cog here, click on it, and playback speed, click that right arrow and just change it to 1.5 or 1.75 and you'll find that the video flows along better. Now, making a main switchboard menu is quite involved and it's going to take a while. So this will be a long lesson, so we suggest you take breaks, and you can do that using the video timeline index, which is in the description of the video. You can stop at a certain section, like this one here, say, and then just later on, you just click here on this blue one to resume at the next section from where you're up to. So it is a long lesson, and we suggest you take some breaks and increase the video play speed. So switchboard menus, main menus, are real-world computer systems for businesses. They always have these kind of main menu page that starts up, which is kind of like a home page on a website. And what happens there is this one's actually in Visual Basic. VB.net Visual Studio for a project we made for VCE computing. But this is the main menu that opens up, and from here you can click on different buttons and it goes to different screens where you can do different things. Now the one we're going to make for the Southern Dog Club is the Microsoft Access main menu, and this is what it's going to look like. We're going to have Murphy the Wonder Dog here featured, and you can click to go to either of the two forms, either of the screen forms, by clicking on these buttons or on the tabs. And so what will happen is when you click on this button or on the text member dog screen form, the member dog screen form will open up inside your application. You can flick through there and look at your dogs, then you can close that off with the X up here when you're finished. If you want to do one of the reports, you can click, say for example, on the member overdue fees report, and that will come up in your application, so you can have a look at that and just use the X to close it down. And we've also got a couple of queries here for things which weren't covered by the reports. We've got the non-Kingston registered dogs. If you click on that one, this is the query you'll get and can have a look at and use the X on it to close up. So we've built all of these components for our database system so the business can work really smoothly and well, like the members form, the dogs form. We've got all those reports we can run. We've got the two queries for where the dogs are registered, and we can run both of those from the main menu as well. So this will finish things off and give us a fully integrated application and solution for Juanita, for the Dog Club. So you can just use the latest lesson you're up to. So the last one we did was images onto forms. So if you've done everything and put everything in and got all those reports and queries from the previous lessons, you could just use that database. Or if you're just watching this video to learn to make a main menu for another system totally different that you've got, use that. But we suggest that teachers especially just get the downloads for this lesson, which only cost about $2 Australian and $2 US or $3 US, they're really cheap, and get the main menu start database, okay? So that'll have everything in it. It'll have all the forms already. You might have to adjust those so the pictures show up on them. And it'll have all the queries and all the reports. So you'll have it all there, and you can follow this exactly as it is here in these instructions. So we suggest for teachers especially, get that downloads. It's got detailed step-by-step build instructions. You get the logo image, you get the picture of Murphy to use on the menu, and you get the start database to start the lesson with. So building this main menu, first we have to just create a completely blank form, and we're going to build this form with our bare hands, kind of like in Design View. So this lesson will be good too, because it'll give you a lot of experience of Design View for customized building of forms. First thing we do is create the form heading and have a picture box on the form. We'll put Murphy in the little picture box there, add the first button onto the form, then the first item description label where we've got text next to the button onto the form. We'll get those working, and then we can just add the rest of the buttons and labels for that main menu just by doing copy and paste and modifying things, all right? So we can edit the commands triggered by a button, and we can change a form button, something that opens a form. We can change it to open a report instead and tell Access exactly what report we want to open. So we can copy and paste the dogs form button, for example, and we can make that do the overdue fees report. Okay, it's quite easy. Then we're going to add our first query button and label onto the form, and add the first report button and label, the background rectangles onto the form just to make it look a bit better. And we're going to remove that bottom of form navigation buttons, which are on most forms for you to flick through records. There's no records to flick through here. There's just the one screen, which is the main menu. So we don't need that bottom of form navigation bar. And at the end, very end, we'll just take that off just to tidy up our form and finish it off. So I'm thinking this video will take about an hour altogether, so you probably want to take breaks while we're doing it. So step one, we start off by creating a blank form. So we go open that start database, get it open, and you need to go to the create tab and click on blank form. So we've done create before to make queries and to do form design to make our forms. This time we're going create, and we're just making a completely blank form here, all right? And as you guessed, it'll just come up a completely blank form like this on the screen, but that's exactly what we want. So we're going to add in the heading box up here. We're going to put in the logo. We're going to put in a big rectangle round there. We're going to change the background color. We're going to load up that picture box picture of Murphy. Then we're going to put all those buttons and labels here and make them do things, make them open up different things which are in our database. So that's basically the flow of the lesson. So change into layout view. So we're doing this first work right here in layout view. So remember, down the bottom right hand corner of the screen, there's form view for checking out things when you're finished. Layout view is the middle one, which we try to use most of the time, but we will be using design view, this one here, the end one, quite a lot. So these are down the bottom right hand corner. Click on the middle one so you're in layout view, and click the left hand corner save button. So we better save this form straight away before we do anything on it. So click that save icon up the top left hand corner of the screen, and this one's called main menu. So that's the name of it, and then just click OK to save it. Now we just want to change the background color. So if you click anywhere on that blank form, this will be surrounded by an orange box to indicate that it's selected. And then you can go to your format tab up here, and with the paint bucket tool, pick colors. So we're just going to go for this really dark purple in the standards here. Purple number 5, that's what gives us that color there. You could try a different color if you want to, but we suggest you follow along with the lesson with the colors we've got, and then you could change it later on, just modifying it if you want to. All right, now creating the form heading. This should be pretty easy, you'd think, but it's actually going to take quite a few steps to do and get it right, because we're not using kind of pre-made things this time. We're doing everything in design view with a raw build, which is great because it's going to teach you how to build forms yourself if you want to make them look exactly the way you want them to. So we need a picture box containing the club logo image. We need a rectangle that's going to be dark pink colored, and we're going to need a label box put on top of that rectangle that's going to have our heading text in it. That's going to be 26 point in its size, medium blue. So the whole finished thing will look like this. We've got this big pink rectangle behind everything. In front of it, we've got our logo in a picture box, and then we've got this label sitting here on top of that rectangle that's in blue text that says Southern Dog Club, and that is size 26. So that's what we're going to make. That's the end product. So let's get into it. So while we're in layout view, we can just stay in layout view for the moment. Click onto the design tab and make sure on that. Remember this one with the mountains and the computer screen? That's the one which we use for getting a picture box, okay? So you need to click on that to make it active. And then you get on your screen here and you drag your mouse diagonally around to make a box. But painfully, Access doesn't even show you a box getting made while you're doing it. It won't do anything, but you just get your mouse, push down there and just drag a little bit to make a little box. And then Access straight away will open up the navigation panel, and you need to navigate and get that logo image, which you can get from the downloads for this lesson. So in the downloads, you get the logo and you get the dog picture that we need for later on as well. All right, so we just want the logo, and then you click OK. And what will happen then is you'll have your logo inside a box on your form, and you can get these edges with double arrows. Remember, move near them, get the double arrows, and shrink or expand from the corner to make it bigger and smaller. So you kind of want it that size at the moment. Now, To move the picture around is tricky. If you want to relocate it over to here or something, you have to actually grab it by this plus handle, which is in the top left-hand corner, and it's very hard to see. We've kind of magnified it here so you can see it. So it's kind of this plus sign up in the corner. You have to click on that and grab it and move it around using that. So we've moved it around right up into this top left-hand corner here. And you can also grab the sides of the form and just stretch it out to make it a bit more rectangular rather than the square one which Access gave us originally. So I can do both of those things and then that'll be done. And now we need to draw that rectangle heading background on the top of the form. So the rectangle tool, that's not available in design view, in layout view, sorry, that we're in at the moment. If you've done our previous lessons, this will all make sense if you did the one on adding images to the form. But if you haven't done our previous lesson, don't worry, we're going to do it all here anyway. So the rectangle tool, you can't get to that in layout view, so we're going to have to click down the bottom, very bottom right hand corner, this one, to get into design view. So switch your form into design view, and what will happen is you'll see rulers along the side of the form, but Access has just kind of shrunk the form down for some silly reason, only to be as big as our logo image. So you need to grab those sides there and stretch everything out. Get this side with the double arrows as you hover over it, push down your mouse button, stretch that out, get double arrows while you're hovered over this edge. As soon as the double arrows appear, push down your left mouse button and drag that down there. So stretch that right out so it fills up the screen, okay? Because we need some form to work on, and I don't know why Access wanted to make it all small when we had it the size we wanted it in layout view, but go figure, and we just need to fix that up. And what we can do then is in design view, while we're in design view, so you can tell we're in design view because we've got the rulers and the grid here, you go to the design tab, and how we get to the rectangle tool that we need to use is, it's not one of these first tools. Click this down arrow here, which shows you the rest of the tools, and the rectangle's actually over here underneath the cursor one, which is the normal one, which is just a selection tool to click on things and select them. So you've got to click on the rectangle tool to make that the active tool, all right? So click on that rectangle. It should go gray like this so that it becomes the active tool, and then we're ready to go to make a rectangle. So hold down your left mouse button and just drag out a rectangle like this, and that's at the top of our form at the moment. And then we need to fill it up with some color. So we were on the design tab, click over to the format tab, get on your paint bucket filler, and the color we've used is, we haven't found anything in the standard colors we liked. So we clicked on more colors here, and then there's two tabs, there's custom and standard. So when you click on more colors, you get this one, and we then clicked on standard and got this actual pink color in here. All right, that's the one we've decided to use for the background. So we just click that, we can see what it's like, we're happy with it, and we click the OK button. And you can see behind here that it has filled it in with that pink color that we chose. So the final thing is to add a label. So on this design tab, there's a tool called big A, little a, AA, that's the one, AA. So you need to click on AA to make it the active tool. Then you single click here, and there'll just be a flashing cursor, a blinking cursor at you and nothing else, but you can start typing with your keyboard, Southern Dog Club - main menu like we have there. So that's what we're doing first, just typing in the text, and when you press the enter key at the end of the line, it'll go like this, and it doesn't look great at the moment, but we can easily fix that up, don't worry. So we're staying in design view while we're doing this, so don't flick out of design view. We're going to the format tab, not using use the paint bucket to make it that same pink background color, but then use the letter A to change the color of the text so that it's this blue color down here next to purple. Should have really circled that, I suppose, but it's this blue color down here that we're using for the text. All right, so that will get our text color set up, and up the top here we've changed it to size 24. All right, so make sure the label is selected. It needs to change to size 24 up here, or 26, either one of those will do. We have circled it. And the letter A, using the letter A icon, we select that one there. So as long as you got this clicked so it's all selected in orange, you can change its background color with the paint bucket. You can change the color of the writing and the size of the writing as well, which is what we've managed to do there. All right, and then it's all looking good. So you can change out of design view now, actually into layout view, the middle one, down the bottom right-hand corner, and you can move your label up, just grab it and move it up. So you have to move across where we had it written here, and when you get the plus sign, push your button down, then you can move it up onto here, okay? And then we've got all that sorted, but we want to kind of bring that in as well as part of the pink rectangle. But if the heading ends up and you can't see it, so you can click on it and see there's a text box there or a label, but it's not showing. Maybe you've got the order of the layers wrong. So you need to just have that highlighted and right click on it and go position, bring to front. If you're unlucky, this heading, when you move it, you might see it move behind the rectangle. So if that's happening, just right click on that heading text and do position and bring to front, and that should bring it up the front where you can see that. And we're going to use that business of bringing to the front again. So we've said here it's finished. We're actually going to change it later to stretch that rectangle out, and then we'll have to bring that to the front, I think, so you can see it or something. But for now, anyway, just save it. That's what we've got so far for our menu. The menu will be changing. All right, so we've been going for 15 minutes. So if you want to have a break, now could be a time, or you could just wait a little while longer. Just having a very quick coffee break there. All right, if we make our form larger and save it and close it and reopen it, this is the next problem we're dealing with, resizing the menu form. Okay, so you saw in design view that it shrunk it down into that corner and we had to stretch it back out again. So when we save our form and close it and open it up again, Access brings it back to that square form that we started with. And we want to stretch it out a bit here and here and have it look like this. So that's what we'd like to have. But when we close it and reopen it, Access has actually made it this size. Sorry, I got it back to front here. That's what we'd like to have. So we stretch it all out and get it all nice. We save it and we close it with the X. And then we open it up again by double clicking it down the left-hand side. Oh, what's happened? It's just gone like this, the way Access wants it to have all shrunk down. So that's not good. And we saw this problem previously in other lessons, and we have to change auto resize property of the whole form and the fit to screen property for the whole form to both be set to no, and that'll fix it so that then we can pick our own size and save it, and Access will keep that size. So in layout view, make sure you're on design tab and click on that property sheet, which is up the top in the ribbon. And we want to have the properties for the form, okay? So there's a drop down arrow here, which will have all these different items which are on your form. Make sure you use this drop down arrow and pick form. You need to pick from the drop down list, make sure it's on form. The other way to get on form is, see this little arrow on the left hand side here, this little triangle pointing arrowhead. If you click on that, that should change this to form as well. But we've got to make sure this box is on form. That's critically important, all right? And then once we're on form, it'll show the whole form properties, and we need to find auto resize. It'll be set to yes, so use that down arrow to change it to no. Fit to screen also needs to be no. So both of these are yes, that's causing our problem. Set them both to no, and that will fix our problem. Okay, and if you resize it, save it and everything, it should work. We just haven't shown it there. All right, so on to the next thing. We're going to add that dog image on the left-hand side here to our form and put it inside a picture box. So we're just in layout view still. Go on the design tab and get this one, which is for the picture box. Remember, click it to make it active, and then just click here on the form, okay, to place the picture box. Now, as soon as you click on the form, so we've just gone design, we've clicked on that tool to activate it, we've clicked once on the form. As soon as you do that, Access will open up the navigator, go to the navigator and find where you saved from the downloads this picture Murphy menu pick, and grab that one and click on it and say okay. Make sure graphics, if pictures aren't showing up, remember this drop down here needs to be on graphics files. So if you're not seeing any pictures when it's navigating, remember to have that onto graphics. And then, whoa, we've got our picture, but hey, everything's really messed up. Like our picture box is really super long and skinny and goes right off the form. And this form has a scroll bar here on the left-hand side. You can see the actual purple form's going down for miles for some reason. Okay, so again, Access has resized things, which seems to happen all the time. while we're building, and we need to fix that. So you've got to go into design view to fix this. So you can see we've jumped into design view, and when you scroll down, move that scroll bar right down to the bottom so that you're right at the very bottom. See, we're on 21 on the rulers there, and we're only on 11 and 12 and 13 just here. So we have scrolled right down the bottom, you can tell from the rulers. And what we need to do while we're down the very bottom of the form is you have to go down on the purple bit here at the very bottom, get the double arrows, which will be black with a bar, and you've got to pull that up. But before you can pull that up, actually, you need to get on that picture box. So click on that picture box, so it's highlighted in orange, and you've got to use the sideways. Move over the corner of that picture box, get the double arrow resizers, push down your mouse and just drag that picture box up and make it smaller. Then go down here on the edge of the form, get your double arrows, push down your mouse and push that up. So you have to keep getting the corner of the picture box and pushing it up, then getting down the bottom of the purple form and pushing that up, all right? Until we don't have any more scroll bars. So what should happen is when we've finished pushing it up, we'll have it like this, okay, so that this ruler line's round about 12, 13, 14, and that one's kind of round about 16 and 17. And right on cue, Murphy, the dog, which is in that picture, if you just heard that, he started barking. He's probably just barking at birds in the backyard or something. All right, so once we've got all that sorted, then our picture box will be okay. You can shrink that and make the dog fit in there okay. And if it's still not fitting, you can right click and go to properties and change the size mode to stretch and zoom, which I think we show you soon anyway. The next issue is you cannot move the dog image because it's stuck together with the logo image. Yeah, so if we try to, we can make this smaller and stuff, but we want to move it down a little, but you can't move it because Access for some reason has grouped it in with this other picture box. So it thinks, oh, let's just join the two picture boxes together. Not sure why it wants to do that, but we can easily fix it. We've seen this in previous lessons. You've got to be, while you're in design view, click on that very hidden plus sign in the left-hand corner here so that both of them are selected. Then you go to the Arrange tab up here, all right, and go to Remove Layout, and that should disconnect both of them from being hooked together. All right, so then we should be able to grab the little corner plus sign on the dog and move the dog around, or just hover over it till we get a plus sign and move the dog around. But you need to click on that plus sign that's sticking them both together to get both of them highlighted and go Arrange, Remove Layout, and then that little problem will be fixed. Now, as we're talking about, if the dog's not quite fitting in, while you clicked on that, just go to Format tab in the property sheet and change the size mode to stretch. All right, zoom and stretch are the ones that work. Clip doesn't seem to work for pictures, and we have used stretch actually to get this to stretch out and look okay. So this is going all right. We've got our heading, we've got our picture, so I think we're just ready to make buttons and labels. As well as resizing the dog image, we also right-clicked on the logo. Yes, this is where we were doing that other thing. Let's just try and go back here. You can see I've already done it there. All right, so see what we've done here. What we've done is we clicked on that logo that was sitting on its own, and we did position, bring to front, so it's right up the front. Then we just grabbed this rectangle while we're in design view with the double arrows, and we dragged it back a bit and shrunk the resize that a bit. So we've now got that big rectangle behind everything, and this we've had to bring to the front. So right click, position, bring to front, and we've sort of got our whole heading like that. So we've got our heading, we've got our picture box. Now we just want to have a nice little frame, a border around the picture box, I think is what's coming up next. So that's the last thing, to do a little photo frame around that, just to link it in and make it look better on the screen. So what you can do is you just click on this so the picture box of the dog is highlighted, and in that property sheet, go to border style, Okay, and you've got to make sure border style is solid. When you go in there, it's probably going to be transparent, but make sure border style, you change it to solid and set the border width as 2. So there's a drop down list there and you want 2 point. And then the border color, when you click these triple dots, it should show recent colors and show that pink that we've used for the heading. And that's the same pink we want to use again to do the border. All right, so we've got to get border style onto solid, border width onto 2 point, border color, we're just using the triple dots and using our recent pink color. And drum roll please, you can see we've now got that pink frame there around the dog. So we're ready to add our first button onto the menu form. So, you know, this has been 24 minutes. This would be a great time to just take a break actually, because it'll be a bit of a job getting through doing the button and the label, the first one. And then after that, it's just copy and paste, okay? Okay, welcome back. So the first thing I'm going to do is make the button. So we are on the design tab here and there's the button icon, which isn't immediately obvious. It's this one with the rectangle with the 4 X's in it. So you need to click on that so that it's not the arrow that's active, but the button tool is the active tool. And what we do next is just click on the form. So we make that the same sort of thing as usual, make that the active tool, click onto the form. And what will happen is the button will be pushed up into the corner by Access for some reason. Always these issues with positioning things. So you can just grab that plus sign on the left of it and drag that down and position it down here. So we just want to move that button down. In older versions of Access, what used to happen was that you could just, as soon as you put the button with the click onto the screen, it opened up this wizard which would set up the actions that you wanted to happen when that button was clicked, and you could just step through the wizard and set up, yeah, I want to open up a form, and the form I want to open up is a members form, and bingo bango, everything was done. But it seems in this latest 365 version that we've got, even though we tried turning use form wizards on, the form wizard just doesn't come up. But it's kind of good anyway, because we're going to learn the full idea of making a macro and how to modify one. So that's going to be useful anyway. Okay, so don't worry about it. We can just do it the long way around rather than not having the wizard, because we don't have the wizard. All right, so we click the button once and then you'll be able to change its name. So I've dragged it down here. It was saying Command 13, which isn't a really good name for it. So if you click on that, you can change the text. You can easily edit it. So we just edited here to say Open Member Form, and we stretched it along a bit just to make sure that fits in. So that's a little button on our screen there. And in Layout View, with that button selected in orange, so we've clicked on that button so it is selected, we're in Layout View, we're just right clicking on it, and the very top thing in the right click list, Build Event, you need to click onto that one, which is a new thing we haven't done before. And we're going to use the macro builder, which just means a series of steps. We want that button to do a series of steps just to open up a form and get us the form with the right name. So that's called a macro when you do a series of steps. All right, now that opens up a new panel which is called the macro tools, okay, which has a different ribbon and different things in it. And all it'll show originally is a plus and a box, which is very boring, but you need to click on that list. And when you click that arrow, there's suddenly lots of things. There are so many different things which you can make the button do. But we want to just go down in alphabetical order, past the M's and N's to where the O's are for opening things. And we want to do this Open Form command. All right, that's the command that we want the button to do when it gets clicked on the menu. So use that down arrow, click Open Form, make sure you select that one. And when you select that one, what'll happen is it'll change and you'll have this, and it says what form name do you want to open. So you use this down arrow here, and it's members final is the one in the start database. That was our final version of the members form. Okay, so members final is the one we're clicking there. And then all we have to do is just save using the save icon and close it, and we're done. So all we have to do really was tell it, okay, the action we want to do when it's clicked is we want it to open a form, and then we had to click form name and say the name of the form is the members form, all right? And then we can just save and close, all right? So click the save first, obviously, then the close. All right, now change over to form view. So go down in the bottom right hand corner of the screen and get onto form view, because we'll check out how this button works. So when you click that button, what happens once you're in form view, this one, is our good old members screen just opens up. And we've suddenly in our members form and can flick through and do work on the members form, okay? And you can just use this X up here to close it. So that is working well. Now, if the form doesn't open in a great location, like if this form opens up over the top of here and doesn't look good, what you can do is just move it down, push on the top of it with your mouse button, drag it down to where you want it, like here. And then if you just hit the save icon up the top left-hand corner, that good old save button, this one here, the save icon, then it'll save that position so you can close it. And when you click open member form, it should reopen down in the position where you saved it in that position. It shouldn't go where it was previously where you didn't want it, because Access won't pick good positions. You'll have to move the form and then do a save, and Access will remember the position. So we're now going to modify that button because we want to have it a slightly different way that looks a little more sophisticated. So we're going to have a blank square button instead, and then put some label text next to it. All right, so at the moment we've got it like this. So what we're going to do is from that, we're going to change it to just be a square button with no writing on it you can click on. And this bit here is a new thing, a label, and you can also click on the label to open the form. So I'll have two ways of opening the form. Click on the little square button or click on the label. So we're just kind of changing from this kind of layout for our menu just into this layout here. That's our objective, but it's going to take a few steps. So click once again and then click again, and it should get into the text editor, and just backspace here to remove all of the text off the button so the button's blank, and then use your double mouse arrows to resize it so it just becomes a square button that's blank like it over on the right hand side. Then we're going to click this AA tool. Remember our label, so on the design tab, click AA, then just click to the right of that button, and it should put a flashing cursor, and just type members screen form, so that'll get the label in there. And the size we're making for that is 14 point for the font size. So you can go into format and change its font size to 14 PT, or just to 14 on that format tab. All right, when we're looking at our font. So that's got us a button and a label. Now, Access, of course, has joined these both together and glued them together, all right? So you've got to go into Design View, and you've got to click this plus sign here, and so that both of them are selected, and do your Arrange, Remove Layout stuff again so that they're not glued together. Remember how this picture box here was glued together with a logo picture box? We had to separate them so we could move this one. Same deal here, they're glued together. You've got to go into Design View, click that tiny little plus you can hardly see in the left-hand corner, and go to the Arrange tab and Remove Layout. You guys should be getting pretty good at doing that by now. We've got it here. Click on that, go to the Arrange and the Remove Layout while you're in Design View, and that should separate them. And then we should be able to move our label. Whoops, I just missed one thing there. Access will be showing this exclamation mark on the label, okay? So we can just ignore that one. All right, so ignore that for now. And what we're going to do is just click the drop down on that exclamation mark and just click ignore the error, okay? So you can join the label with the blank button, but we're not going to do it that way, okay? So we're not doing associate label with control. That's a bit complicated. Let's just keep it simple. Do the drop down and just go ignore error, then the exclamation mark should go away, all right? So move the label to the right. Now that we've disconnected it, we're just gonna move it over to have a bit of a gap between that square button and the label, and then right click on the label, and we're doing the build event again, because we wanna build an event so that if you click on that label, that's gonna open a form, and the name of that form will be the members form. All right, so choosing the builder. We want to use the macro builder again, so click that one, and of course that'll open up that macro tools form we've seen before. On the drop down list arrow just here, make sure you click open form is the action we want to happen when the button is clicked, and then for the form name we want that to open up members final just like we did previously with the button. Okay, so if you set all that up, what should happen now is click Save and then Close. And change over to form view, and what should happen is you should be able to click either the square button or the label. So when we click on the label, this members form will open up the same way as if you click on the square button, it'll open up as well. All right, so we just got a different kind of appearance here, a little box you can click on, and also a label you can click on. All right, it just looks, I don't know, we think it looks a bit more professional than just having the one label onto a button. All right, so that's how it is, and that's how we're doing it. Right, so yay, let's go back and have a yay. Oh, that set the dog off. Oh no, bad move. Murph, shush, it's okay. It's just daddy clapping, it's all right. He's here. Oh, look, we'll show him to you. Come here, Murph. Oh, I don't know if they can see you. Can they see you, Murphy? Probably not. Oh, we can't get you. Let's try and move the camera. Can you see the little fella? Hey, Murph, up here. Woo! Here he is. Oh, he's so nice. Anyway, Murph, we got to get back to work. We're making a video, okay? So stop interrupting. All right, off you go. Hopefully that's going to work. All right, so there we are. We won't do the clapping again because he'll bark, but we've done the hardest bit actually. We've made our first button and we made our first label, and from here on in it's just copy and pasting, and so all is good because we love copy and paste. So that was a lot of new learning to make the first button and label. So if you want to take a break, this could be where you pause the video, and then later on you can just go to the description for the video, and in the timeline list find where it says making the second button, because we've been going 36 minutes already. So you know, you might want to stop. You've got the first button done, you've really kind of got the bulk of the hardship done in this lesson, and the rest is going to be copy paste. So the good news is we can make all the remaining buttons using copy paste and then doing a few little modifications. We won't clap because Murphy's here and he will bark. In design view, okay, so that little button there, right click in design view and go copy, or you can actually select it and go Control C to copy. But anyway, just right click on that button and go copy. And then if you just click anywhere on your form, click off the button so it's not selected, just click here on your form and right click and go paste, okay? And it'll put it up in the corner. Thanks a lot, Axis. Why do we want it up in the corner? But a little tip from Murphy here, grab that left-hand corner. To move that button, there is a tiny little gray dot you can hardly even see on the left-hand corner. They love these little things you can't see in the left-hand corner in Access. If you just click on that, you will be able to drag that rectangle button down to here, okay? So on the left-hand corner, just grab there and push down, and you should be able to move it after a couple of times practicing. All right, then we're going to right click on that new button we've just made and go to build event. Now build event, at the moment, it's an open form event, and that's great because we do actually want to open a form with this button. This one we want to open up the dogs form, okay? So we can just leave it as open form, but the form name's no good. We don't want to open up the members. So just click on that form name, all right? And you can use the drop-down list arrow here to make it members dogs v final if you're using the start database from the downloads. So that's just going to change that button now, the copied button, so that it's opening up the members dogs form instead. And then just got to do your usual save and then close, and we should be good to go. All right, so if we change to form view and we click on that copy button we made, great, it opens a form and it opens up the dogs form because we changed the name in the macro to be the dogs form. So that's all good, and that was a lot quicker to make than it was to make the very first button. So we're in the home stretch here. So use the same copy and step things for the button as you do on the label. So you can get on the members screen form label, click on it, and you can just right click and go copy, and then just right click off it and get on the form here and right click and go paste, or you can go Control C and then Control V. That will do the same thing. If you have to move it from the corner, just move it down. And if you do all the same steps as you did on the button that you did on this label, just change the name basically so it's opening up the dogs form instead. You should find that all works out. All right, so now we're going to make the reports button. So we can copy paste a form button, but we can change it so that it's not going to open form, it's going to do open report for its action instead. All right, so there will be an extra step we just did a copy and paste on a button and label, and all we had to do is change the form name. But this one we're going to have to do a copy and paste on a button and a label, but you'll have to change the form's action and then select the name of the report you want, okay? Anyway, you'll see that as we do it. So there's 4 reports that we need to make buttons for, actually. So let's just review the reports lesson where we made these. These was the members contact list report. There was the dog owners report. We had the dogs that weren't desexed, and we had the members that owe some money. Pay up that money that you owe, naughty members. Okay, members with overdue fees. So we had those ones as well. All right, so copy and paste, Control-C, Control-V, or right-click, copy, right-click, paste. Either way, we get ourselves a brand new button down here, and make sure that button is highlighted, and right-click on that button that's highlighted and choose Build Event, like we've been doing. And in the build event, at the moment it's on open form. Okay, so we've got, this is an open form event, which is set up there for when you click that button. Now what we need to do is actually need to delete this whole event and then use this plus sign to make a different event. Now, how do you delete it? There's no delete buttons anywhere. If you press the delete key on your keyboard, it doesn't do anything. It's all cleverly hidden away with this funny dark colored X here. Right, and that's how you actually delete an open form action or any action. So it's a bit tricky and it's a bit hidden away, but if you click on open form, everything for that event will open up. So I've got to click here first, then you have to click that X to just delete the whole thing, okay? So when you delete that whole thing, we should only have this little box left, the plus with the new action. All right, on the new action, use your drop-down arrow like we've done previously, but we're not doing open form this time. You need to click on open report because we're doing reports. Okay, open report, clicking on that will ask you for report name. Use the drop-down arrow, and the first report we're doing is a contacts list report. Okay, so click on that one. Then you just do your usual save and close, and that button should be set up and ready to go to do the report. So let's just go in, jump into form view and test out that button. When you click on that button, yay, it opens up the members contact list, and you can use this X up here to close that report. So that's all working really well. Now for the label, it's exactly the same step. So you can click on the dogs one, Control-C, Control-V, any way you want to, copy and paste it and move it down here, and then click in it to edit it to say members contact details report. All right, so you go click, and then you can change the writing in it. Then we have to right click on that and do our good old build event. This at the moment is set up to open up the dogs form with an open form. So go to this X in the corner here and click it to delete all of that. And all we'll be left with is the add new action. Click on that add new action drop down list and get open report because you want to open a report this time. Pick the name of the report. So on report name, click that, click the drop down list, contacts list report, and then just your good old save and then you close. And when we test that by clicking on the label this time, we should see that same contacts list report open up. All right, so everything is going along very well. So making the reports button by copy and paste, we've got a report button. So you can just start Control-C, Control-V, and then right click on that build event. But all you have to do is change the name so it picks up the dogs DSEX report. Copy and paste. Right click, build event, make sure you change the name so it's doing the dog owners report, and also make sure you click in this label when you copy and paste it and change what the label says. And that should give you all of your reports done. And the last thing we have to do is just make some queries for information not covered by the reports. And let's explain what we mean there. So we had a whole bunch of queries, right? We had the contacts list, the dogs list, the not desexed, all these things. Now the ticks here show us the things. We've actually got reports that give us all this information. So we don't really need to run any of these queries that are ticked because you can just run, if you want a phone list or if you want a contact list, okay, or if you want a member's emails, all you have to do is click that report about contact details, and that's all in the report. So we don't have to run these queries, but the things that we don't have information for out in those 4 reports. We've got those 4 reports we run that give us all this tick stuff, but the stuff we do not get is we don't have anything that tells us the regos, which dogs are registered in the municipality of Kingston. So which dogs are kind of local to the Southern Dog Club area, and then these non-Kingston ones, okay? So we've got to get those 2 queries to run so that we can get that information from our main menu as well, all right? Because we want to be able to get everything we've built in the dog club. We want to be able to just click a button or a label in the main menu, bang, just to go to that straight away, just to make it a really nice, easy to use application for people. So we've got to get those 2 done and get the queries to go for them. So we'll need 2 more buttons. So you've got to copy and paste to make 2 buttons and to make 2 new labels. Click and change the text in the label so it says those things there. And then in the macro builder where it's got report name, just delete the report name, okay, and use your add new action to make it do an open query instead. So we're just deleting this one which opens a report. So we copied and pasted a report one, okay. So let's say it was this one. We got on that, we did Control-C, Control-V, and we made a new button here. So because this button came from a report thing, when you right-click and build event, it'll have the open report stuff. That's not what we want. So delete it and then use this down arrow here to make an open query one, because these 2 guys are queries, all right? And then with the query name, just pick, we want the Kingston Regos to open up, do your save and close, and just do the same thing here, but on that step, you'll just be picking that you want the non-Kingston Regos, all right? So it's all done by the same thing. And we've now got all of the items for our menu, all right? So we can click on that Kingston one and get a query to run and position that on the screen and close it. So that's looking really good. I think we're just about finished. The form's fine. There's one more thing. Yeah, see, we've got a big long list here of all the things. I'm actually going to put some background rectangles on them, which will kind of group them. So we'll have the form buttons, we'll have the report buttons, and we'll have the query buttons all in separate groups. So make sure you're in design view when we do this. So we've got to flip over to design view, and we're going on the design tab, and we're using this down arrow here to get to our good old friend, the rectangle tool. So click on the rectangle tool to make it active. And then where we're drawing the rectangle is, in design view, open up the property sheet and make sure it's saying default rectangle, okay? So because we picked the rectangle tool, the property sheet should be saying default rectangle. If it's not saying that, just try pick the tool again. And the back style, we want to change it from transparent to be normal. And we want to change the back color into that pink color, all right? So remember how we got, we want to choose a different pink color actually. So we've got our rectangle, but we want to change its properties, okay? So we want to make sure the back style isn't transparent, change it to normal or to solid. I think it's normal is what needs to be done. And back color, when you click on the triple dots, go to more colors, and it's actually this pink in here, which is a slightly darker pink than the other one, and then click OK on that. And then we've got our rectangle drawer here, which just changes the cursor into a plus and a rectangle. They'll be a lot smaller than this. So instead of having a mouse arrow like we've got right here, it'll change it into a different sort of cursor, a rectangle with a little plus sign on it, okay? And with that is how you drag out a rectangle. So you'll drag out a pink rectangle over the top of everything. Okay, now if the rectangle's wrong, you can just click on it and press your delete key to delete it and get on the rectangle tool and draw it again. Then we need to send that to the back because it's kind of covering everything up. So you right click on it and go position send to back, all right? And that should fix everything up. And what should happen is we should have a rectangle behind our buttons and our 2 form labels. So this little rectangle here is telling us this is the section where we're doing forms, okay? And we just make 2 other rectangles as well following the same steps, and one's going to be purple and one's going to be this maroon sort of color, so that we've just separated them into the queries, the reports, and the forms. You can leave it just all like that. That's okay and usable. This is just kind of going 1 level extra and making it a bit more viewable. And the very last thing is just to take this horrible navigation bar off the bottom, because there aren't records to flick through. There's only this 1 page of menu. So how you do that is removing the navigation bar, you need to click on this little arrow here. While you're on the property sheet, click on that, and that should select the whole form, okay? So we don't select the navigation bar and press the delete key or anything. It's different to that. We need to select the whole form. So you can click on that little arrow there, and then that should change this box on property sheet to say form, or you can use the arrow, the drop down list, but you've got to make sure you pick form. And this thing's on form, all right? Because remember how we did our auto center and auto resize, setting them to no. We need to be on form for this one, and we're going to set navigation buttons to no. All right, so navigation buttons need to be set to no. Okay, and if it's a bit hard to see there, here's what it looks like really big. So make sure navigation buttons is no, and that's all there is to it. And save your form, and then open it up in form view, and you can see we've got no navigation button at the moment. So finally, the form is finished, and these colors, Juanita likes them because they're kind of bright kind of colors that she likes. Remember, she liked that members form in the palettes of lipstick colors. She likes this with the purples and pinks. She's a purple and pink kind of girl. So that's good. Always give the customer what they want, but you can use different colors if you want. And it's very well laid out and simple to use. And you can see just from the colors here, I want to do a query. Okay, I go down to this one to do queries. These are my reports. These are my forms. It's all grouped together and really nice. So we're ready to save. Yay, the lesson's just about finished. So up the top of the screen, do File, and then do Save As. Make sure you're saving it as an ACCDB database, but it's not over yet. Click that Save As button, and you have to navigate to where your project is. So we've done that. We've got a folder called L8 Main Menu SDC, and we're calling it SDC Main Menu Finished. And you will get this finished database as part of your downloads, so you can look at it and check things out. If something goes wrong with yours and it's not working, you can check out this finished one, which is part of the downloads. And then click the Save button. If Access asks you to replace the current database, just say yes, and that'll all be good. So I think we've nearly finished the course. These are all the things we set out to do in the Southern Dog Club. So if you've done all these, you've become really good at doing Microsoft Access. We have to make the tables first. So yeah, if you're doing another project too, this is good because it tells you the order you need to do things in. So remember, you always have to create the database and the tables first. Then you need to put in your input validation rules. If you don't do it here, they won't automatically flow into forms later on. So validation rules. Then we did queries, and because we'd done the queries, it made sense actually to just jump down and do the reports, because you use the queries to make the reports anyway. So we just kind of jumped out of the order there. Then these ones here all had to be made in order. So you had to have screen forms first, then you can make the input masks. Should flow through most of them from the validation, but I think we had to do something for phone number. Then we did drop down lists out of that to our forms, so we could pick sexed or desexed. Then we had the member and dog images. That was the next step to get them onto our forms. Then our forms were all beautiful and finished and looked great. And today we've just done that main menu switchboard, which has taken just under an hour actually, which is good because I thought it would be a 1 hour straight up. And the last thing we've got to do is just create this opening splash screen and finish the application off. So congratulations if you've made it this far. You've done really well. And here we go. So remember our course, the whole Southern Dog Club course is on Passy's World of ICT, the website. Just click on the MS Access SDC button, and then you can get all of the lessons in the order you're supposed to do them. And that also gives you pages you can go to get the downloads as well. So that's the end of this lesson. So remember, this has been a long lesson, but you've learned how to build forms with your bare hands using the design view tools. So that's really handy in Access if you want to go on to more involved things, okay? Getting your head around that design view and using tools and stuff. So you've done well there. So give this video a big thumbs up like, and of course, make sure you're subscribing to our channel so that you're getting the regular video updates, because you don't want to miss out on that splash screen lesson. So make sure you're a subscriber, and then you get notified about the updates, and we'll see you in the next lesson.